Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boscheman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the forecast for each life path number for the month of February 2026. Before we get into that forecast, though, remember, this is a general forecast. The best way to get the most accurate forecast for your own personal numerology is to have a personal numerology reading. So you can book some time with me. My information's in the description box below, and I'd love to work with you. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and have a look at February 2026. Life path number 1, you're going to be working with the vibration of the 4 for February. And so the magic is in the details this month. You want to, pay attention to the bigger picture and the goal, stay focused on the goal that you're looking to achieve. But this month you're being asked to dial it in and to really pay attention to, again, sort of the moving parts and what needs your attention to make sure that everything is moving well and everything is working the way it needs to be. So some area of your life, you might have to, dial it in and really get to the core of whatever is happening. And that can be obviously through conversation, that can be through taking another approach or a different approach than you've been taking before. But somewhere in your life, or many areas within your life, might need that more extreme attention, that more dialed in attention. And that's where you're going to maybe figure out what was missing, where maybe, again, a different approach is needed, where it is that you need to slow down and, again, do things in a more methodical way as opposed to kind of being impulsive and rushing through it. And I'm not saying you're rushing through it, but if you are, whatever it may be, then this is the month that you need to slow down and have patience and pay attention to the finer details, the moving parts. This is one of those energies where it's going to show you where is it that you need to really dedicate yourself? Where is it that you need to be more persistent, more loyal when it comes to whatever this is? And where is it that you have to recognize that whatever this is that you're building or moving towards or creating will take dedicated time and effort and energy. And so you're not meant to rush through it. Whatever it is that you're creating, what you're building, what you're investing your time into is meant to be a slow burn. It's not meant to be combustible and like this huge out of control fire. And, sometimes for ones that can be challenging because ones, tend to be that strong, ambitious type of energy. It's a very motivated, go-getter type of energy for the most part. And so when you move through a 4 cycle, you can feel like the brakes are being put on a little bit. And it's not punitive. It's just saying, slow down, look at the finer details, look at the moving parts, figure out what needs your attention, and then put your attention there to make sure that you are cleaning up what needs cleaning up or fixing what needs fixing, or just putting in, again, that investment of time and energy into whatever that is, because that's going to help you to build that solid foundation that the 4 is interested in, that the 4 wants you to build. Because everything that you build upon that 4 foundation, you want it to be sturdy, you want it to be sustainable. And being at the beginning of the year, this is actually a great time to move through a 4 cycle because it's going to help you to make sure that whatever else you put on that foundation for the rest of the year is solid. It's not going to go anywhere because you took the time and put in the energy to make sure of that. This cycle can also have you looking at maybe where you might be a little too stubborn and where it is that you might be fixed in your ways. And you might need to have those deeper conversations with others, collaborate with others, work with others to see where, or to recognize where maybe you have some limitations and you need to recognize those limitations and find the people who have the strengths where you have those limitations so that you can work smarter, not harder. So it's not about, again, being overly stuck in your ways or overly stubborn and, dedicating yourself to something that's not working. It's about figuring out what isn't working, where is it that you might have some limitations in that area, and where is it that you can have those conversations with people or collaborate with people who can bring those strengths so that you can make some headway, so that you can, again, build that solid foundation. You're not meant to do it alone. I know as a 1, sometimes it may feel that way. And there are going to be periods in your journey where it is about you and you do need to figure it out. But this month, it's going to be about recognizing where maybe some shifts in perspective can really help you, again, work smarter, not harder. I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you got dragonfly energy. And so what I love about dragonfly, a lot of times it can indicate change, but it can also indicate balance. Like if you've ever seen a dragonfly, they're so sort of oddly shaped. So you wouldn't think they would be able to fly, but they fly beautifully. And a lot of times you see them hovering. They're just hovering in certain spaces before they move on. They're pausing. They are, checking the surroundings. And that's kind of this 4 energy. It's asking you to pause, to slow down. 4 energy is a very slow moving energy. It's not fast results. But it's going to give you those results over the course of time and dedication. And so with Dragonfly, it's asking you to pause, to take a closer look, to survey the landscape, and to find that greater balance within the situation. Again, the way that there's dragonflies look, they're perfectly balanced, even though they don't look like they should be. But this is asking you to bring in that greater balance within some situation within your life. So it's up to you. But don't see this cycle as, again, punitive. It's just asking you to hit the pause button, slow down, take a closer look at whatever area this shows up for you. Life path number 2, you are going to be working with the vibration of the 5 throughout February. So this is one of those energies that when it comes in a cycle, it's really helping you to break free from something, to incorporate some kind of greater freedom into your life. So any area of your life where you have either been like self-sabotaging or creating some kind of extreme restriction within your life, or extreme excess. So maybe you are, have addictive behavior. Maybe there's some addictions that you're working through. Maybe you're living in excess, spending more than you have, that sort of thing, to an extreme. Again, or maybe you're being overly restrictive. This energy comes in to help you to find your balance there, to do things all in moderation. And that will bring in greater freedom. We don't want to be overly restrictive, and we don't want to be overly in excess. But when we're somewhere in the middle, then we see that we have greater freedom in our lives. We are more likely to say yes to opportunities that come in. We're more likely to dive more deeply into experiences, to really experience the depth of that experience. We tend to find more joy, right? We're more in balance. And so we tend to, again, say yes to the things that are going to light us up, ignite our passion, allow us to experience life with all of our senses. We're less likely to refuse ourselves that opportunity or go in the excess of it, right? And so the 5 cycle is probably going to hone in this month on those areas where you're falling into one of those extremes. And it's going to kind of guide you back to your center so that you can do whatever that is in moderation and get the most out of it, get the most benefits out of it. Sometimes we think like when we go to extremes, that's getting the most out of a situation, but it's actually not. It's actually more detrimental, and we end up kind of closing ourselves off to that greater experience. But when we're in our center, when we're doing things more in moderation and still saying yes to things, but again, allowing ourselves to embrace the experience, we get more out of it. And so again, this cycle is going to help you to see where it is that there needs to be some kind of shift or change. 5s bring in the shifts and the changes that helps you to embrace that greater freedom. And freedom it doesn't necessarily mean like going to the extreme, living in excess, going big or going home. It's more that energy of creating more space and time for yourself to do the things that you love, to say yes to the opportunities that can bring in more joy or spark your imagination or create opportunities for just experiencing life with all your senses and getting the most out of it, where it's not overly saturated and it's not, again, you're not being depraved of that. So it's a really beautiful cycle to move through, but it can help you to see or shake things up where it needs to occur so that you can get the most out of the experiences that you're having or that you want to have. So this would be one of those beautiful cycles to, again, if you're kind of in like an addictive behavior, then this would be a great time to seek out therapy to help you to get the tools to be able to break free from that addiction, whatever that may be. Or if you're falling more along the lines of self-deprivation or self-sabotage, then this is one of those opportunities to, put your put your foot out there and you try something new, try something different. Give yourself permission to say yes to whatever comes up for you that might be a little bit outside of your comfort zone, but can also bring in new experiences that you haven't had, but that you've wanted to have. That's kind of the key here. It's not putting yourself outside of your comfort zone just to put yourself outside of your comfort zone, because chances are you likely won't stay there. You'll come retreating back. So you want to do things or say yes to the things that you've wanted to say yes to, but something's been holding you back. And that might be you as far as your fear of lack or fear of the unknown or whatever it may be. So this cycle is asking you to take a chance in the right direction, a chance in the direction of what feels good, what feels right, what sort of pushes you in the direction that you want to be moving in. This cycle is also going to push you to overcome any stubbornness, any kind of set in your ways mentality. And it's going to ask you to be a little bit more unconventional, a little bit more progressive, a little bit more open-minded, and to gain or be open to gaining new perspectives, especially when it comes to probably some area of your life where you may have been a little bit more set in your ways, or fear might take over when you get ready to take that leap of faith or take that risk. This cycle can kind of push you in that direction to help you to see there is likely a better way. There is a more aligned way. There is a way to do it so that, again, you can get the most out of the experience. So it really is about that greater liberation in some area of your life and the steps that you need to take in order to get there. So I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you got beaver energy. And so this is interesting because when I think about beavers, I think of how they're so precise. They're so tuned into the exact kind of wood that they need to build their homes, the right kind of, where the each piece needs to go. They're just these beautiful architects. And that takes, again, precision, dedication. It takes focus. And so though you are in this cycle of broadening your horizons and breaking free and things opening up and moving a little bit more, I don't want to say radically, but in a way that's not as restrictive, there's also this energy of beaver coming through to say, don't lose your head, stay focused and meticulous. And that coupled with the more unconventional open-mindedness of the 5 will actually get you some of the best results. So this is a really powerful cycle that you all are going to be moving through. It will likely bring in some significant change, but you're at the helm of that change. Nothing really moves without you. So yeah, put your head in the clouds a little bit, think a little bit more openly, be a little bit less stubborn, but don't lose the strategy or the focus that's going to help you to achieve what it is that you're looking to achieve. Life path number 3, you are going to be working with the vibration of the 6 throughout February. So relationships come to the forefront here, and it can be romantic relationships. It can be connecting with someone who maybe you start off as friends and then it moves into something more. This can also be about family or close friends, also your greater community and sort of being a part of that greater community or finding your greater community. But when the 6 comes in a cycle, it really pushes us to have those greater conversations, to, address the elephant in the room, to make sure that we are expressing ourselves in a truthful, honest way that's kind and compassionate and also infused with love. Meaning that we're having those deeper conversations, especially if there is something that needs to be addressed. This is a cycle where anything that we've been kind of pushing under the rug, this cycle brings it back into the light of day to be addressed. And so there's no sort of escaping that. And so it would probably benefit you, since you're moving through this cycle, anywhere that you know that there's that uncomfortableness or that there's that unease within a connection, or maybe there's some walls that are up or miscommunication or misunderstandings might have taken place. This is such a beautiful cycle for you to initiate those conversations and to be open and honest with the way that you feel and what it is that you're looking for, what you desire, and to be open to what the other person has to say as well. This is a beautiful cycle for seeking greater understanding when it comes to those deeper relationships. And, to check in with each other and to make sure that the path that you're walking together on is one that serves both of you, the highest good of all involved. And the 6th cycle is going to help you to see where those conversations need to be had, and then potentially where some action may need to be had. The 6th cycle also brings in a strong focus in the home life, into your sanctuary and, beautifying that space. So this might be a beautiful time to change the decor a little bit so that it feels inviting and safe and secure and warm and cozy and all those things, so that you look forward to going into that space and it feels rejuvenating in some way. Also, this is a time where you could see people coming in, people going out of the home, changes to the home. You could be moving, buying or selling, or changing communities or locations is also possible. Also, finances as they affect the home could change. You might start working from home or, on a regular basis, or maybe we have been working at home. You might move back into brick and mortar or an office building or something along those lines. That's possible. You might notice your involvement within the community changes in some way. So it could become more enhanced, or you could be dialing it back a little bit. But whatever it is, there's a nurturing element to it. So whatever actions you're taking are meant to be nurturing for you and nurturing for the other person or the other people that you're coming in contact with. And so that's why deeper conversations are important during this time, seeking deeper understanding, shifting your focus from self and what it is that you feel maybe frustrated with or obstacles that you may be trying to overcome, and shifting the focus onto others and helping them to find solutions to their problems. And a lot of times what we tend to see is when we do that and we look to see how can we be of service in some way, we tend to find the answer to our own problems, right? And so shifting the focus from self to others during this time can really bring in so much fulfillment, so much joy, so many answers that you've been seeking for your own troubles or your own worries, that it can just feel like a very rewarding cycle. And there can also be a lot of joy in giving, right? As long as we're not over giving, right? Because that can actually lead to resentment and some toxicity. So we don't want to go to the extreme. But, when we are giving to others, when we're helping others find solutions or supporting them on that journey, that can be very rewarding and very, very fulfilling. So this is also a beautiful cycle for maybe volunteer work or sharing your expertise, your gifts in a way that helps to support, uplift, empower, inspire others in some way. And that can feel very, very rewarding. Also, creativity comes into play with 6 energy, which is right up your alley as a 3. And so you might see opportunities to share your creativity in some way. Creative projects might come back into play that really get you excited about being a part of that opportunity. But also you might find new ways of expressing yourself, new outlets for your creativity that can feel really uplifting and inspiring, not only for you, but for others as well. And so I would say any opportunity that you have to beautify your space, beautify your connections, bring beauty to any space is very much recommended. And that includes finding ways to share your creativity that feels good for you, that feels rejuvenating, uplifting, nurturing, all of those things. And one thing I would say here also with this cycle is be really careful about perfectionism. Be really careful about martyrdom, trying to do it for the other person, trying to have the answer for the other person, trying to speak for the other person, or just assuming that you know what they need. The conversation is going to be so important during this cycle for you all, and overcoming any of that stubbornness that you might have to do it your way or the only way is your way, that sort of thing, because that's going to lead to possibly some issues within those connections. So being overly protective, sort of, again, going towards more controlling or martyrdom behaviors, it's going to throw a wrench in what you're trying to achieve. So just be mindful of that. And you might have to swallow your pride a little bit this month. And again, find new ways of doing things that might not be perfect, but what in life really is. Now, I pulled an animal wisdom message for you, and it's interesting because you got eel energy. And when I think about eels, they kind of mind their own business. Like they're, kind of the observer. They're usually hiding in their little caves and kind of pop out when they need to, but they're more reclusive a lot of times. And what this kind of brings up metaphorically is that idea of safety. And when that's coupled with the 6 energy, you could be, in a position to have conversations where you need to be vulnerable, where you need to, express your needs, express what you want, that sort of thing, and be very honest about that and very open about that. And that can feel a little intimidating, a little bit, for any human. And so, fear of rejection, fear of getting hurt, whatever it might be, comes up. And so we kind of pull back. But the 6 energy, like I said, is going to bring things to the forefront to be dealt with, to be expressed, to be understood. And so I would say also be careful about retreating back when you're put in those situations this month, when you're in conversations that need to be had, but that can feel uncomfortable. Fight through that uncomfortableness and, speak your truth, be honest, and come from a place of love, and you will get the most out of this cycle. But don't retreat too quickly, or you will entirely miss what this cycle is trying to offer you. Life path number 4, you are going to be working with a vibration of the 7 throughout February. This is a really spiritual energy that can push you to really pay attention to your dreams, to your intuition, like follow that inner guidance, to follow that gut feeling that you have about something or someone or a situation, and to trust yourself when it comes to how you feel about a situation. This is not a month where you want sort of logic to override how you feel about something. You want to go deeper. You want to investigate it. You don't want to take things at face value this month. If something comes across as feeling a little off or feels too good to be true, it probably is. And that's pushing you to go deeper, to ask the questions, to investigate further in order to sort of see what you're working with before you make some kind of solid decision. And that's going to help you to make an informed decision so that you don't have regrets later on. This is one of those months where your faith could be tested a little bit, but it's really pushing you to, again, find that greater trust for yourself, to not second guess yourself, to overcome any self-doubt that you might feel about, your capabilities, what you have to offer, whatever the situation is. But anytime we move through a 7 cycle, it's a more reflective cycle that's really pushing you inwards. It's pushing you to ask yourself the bigger questions, to be receptive to the answers that come through for you, to, again, go deeper, take your time, investigate, do the research, and to break free from any sort of illusion that might be presenting at this time. 7 energy is really about greater self-discovery. So as you move through that 7 cycle, it's going to bring up challenges, but those challenges are pushing you inwards. It's pushing you to go inwards to, again, ask yourself those bigger questions. What do I want? What do I need to do in order to get that? What are the decisions I need to make? But it's going deeper within so that you are getting in touch with your intuition, your inner emotions, how you truly feel about something. And that process of that greater reflection, of overcoming those challenges, are going to help you to find that greater faith and trust within yourself, to recognize that whatever you put your mind to, you're capable of achieving, whether that is on your own or asking for help where it is that you have limitations. But the 7 cycle can help you to clearly see where those limitations are and what you need to do in order to manage them, overcome them, or, work with someone else who has the strengths where you have those limitations so that you can achieve those goals. So this might be a month where you need to ask for support. You need to ask for the assistance of others, or again, collaborate with others, work with others in a way that can help you to work smarter, not harder, with whatever it is that you're pushing through. This month is really about being the observer, about reflection and processing. So, you might be kind of hitting the pause button a little bit this month to be that observer, to be able to reflect upon what you've kind of moved through or what you're currently moving through, and to be able to secure those answers that will help you to move forward. But there's also that energy of processing, right? Sometimes we have to move through something, process it, and then we can move on. But if we skip that piece of the processing piece, then a lot of times we get stuck in that cycle or that loop, and it can keep us stuck. So in the past, in resentment, and whatever it may be. So this month, as you move through things, take the time for greater contemplation, greater processing, to make sure that you are processing the emotions that might be tied to whatever it is that you're moving through. A lot of times 4s sort of override the emotions to get to the task at hand and to get to the solution. This month might throw you back into the processing phase, and so honor that if it comes up for you. But ultimately, yeah, this is a month for greater self-exploration. What is it that you like to do? What do you want to do? Maybe you don't know. Maybe, it's not uncommon for fours to not know what they want to do, to not have that purpose in mind till later in life. But these 7 cycles help us to dive deeper into ourselves. And so what do you like to do? How do you like to spend your time? What are you naturally drawn towards? This is a cycle that can help you to unlock some of your greater potential or your innate gifts. And then you can start to work with them a little bit more deeply. And these cycles are certainly necessary to help us to get on the track that our soul knows we need to be on. Now, I pulled an animal wisdom message for us, and we got alligator energy. And so, when I think about alligator, I think about observation, right? These animals observe. And sometimes they're observing you and sometimes you don't. And so there's this discreteness to it. So there's definitely this energy coming through on all accounts, right? The 7 energy, the alligator energy coming through that's saying this is a time for slowing down, for just becoming the observer, for going deeper, for not necessarily taking the lead in anything right now that doesn't have to do with you or your own life or your own trajectory. And really going deeper into self and being the observer of the rest of the world and not feeling like you have to, again, intervene or be the participant or whatever it may be. And I'm not saying neglect your responsibilities. I'm just saying this is a month for observation. This is a month for greater self-discovery, for greater contemplation, for asking those questions and being open to the answers that come through and not feeling like you have to force or control anything this month, but see how things flow to you and then decide how you want to work with it. And that's going to give you the greatest sense of understanding this month. Life path number 5, you are going to be working with the quite powerful energy of the 8 throughout February. So the question to ask yourself this month would be, how can I use my money, my abundance, my authority, my influence in order to positively influence my own life as well as the lives of others? Whether that's with sharing your gifts, sharing your expertise, volunteering, showing up in a certain way, whatever it may be. But this cycle is going to have you take a closer look at that. Also, you will likely see that money is on the mind. And so there's a strong emphasis on money, resources, what you have coming in versus what you have going out, how you make your money, how you invest, whatever it may be, your relationship to money. So again, is there a strong sense of or fear of lack? Does that cause you to sort of hoard your money? Or do you have a hard time sort of managing your money where you need to have a budget or something along those lines? So that can be the theme this month. It can show you where you need to either tighten things up or be a little bit more free with your money and how you spend it and how you share it and that sort of thing. And also what comes into play is like power dynamics. So if you're in a position of power or influence or have some kind of status, this would be a beautiful month for you to figure out how can you use that power, that money, or that power, that status, that influence in order to help others, to help open the doors for others, to help to facilitate some kind of greater access for others so that, you're not doing it for them because that would be disempowering, but you're helping to open the door. You're helping people to get their foot in the door to be able to achieve their hopes and dreams if you've achieved yours or if you're well on your way. So you might have an opportunity to kind of look at that as well. And maybe you have a business where you offer certain classes. Maybe you offer, give some kind of scholarship where other people who wouldn't have the financial means to be able to have access, now have access, or something along those lines, right? But the question becomes, how do I, again, share that power, status, money, influence with others in a way that is uplifting, empowering, and inspiring? Or perhaps this is a month where you are looking for that. You're seeking for that opportunity. You're seeking for someone to hold the door for you and help you to get your foot in the door. And so this would be a great month to ask, to put yourself out there, to, ask for what it is that you need. Will you always get that yes? No, but you absolutely won't get that yes if you're not asking. So as you're moving through that 8 cycle, it's empowering you, it's pushing you to, again, advocate for yourself, speak up for what it is that you need, ask those who have what you need to assist in some way. Or to, again, hold the door for you so that you can get your foot in the door. And then if that happens, then remember that when you get to a place where you can do that for others. So this month could be very pivotal in your future success, in how you share your gifts and accumulate your wealth, and then how you choose to spend that wealth is very, very possible this month. Also, you could see power dynamics flare up. So if you are in some kind of connection where someone has control or power over you or tries to, you might see that flare up this month. And the reason for that is because it's asking you to do something, to take action, to find a way to start to move away from that environment, or to, again, speak up for yourself, or whatever you need to do in order to gain your power back, to equalize that dynamic. That could definitely come into play. Or you could start to become very aware of where it is that maybe people are taking advantage of you, or where they're trying to have control over you, or etc. The 8 energy, when it comes in a cycle, can show us where the manipulation, the obsession, the greed, all those things are occurring, and it's up to us to decide how we can, maneuver through that and to make some changes, or the necessary changes. And it might be our own manipulation, our own control tactics, or our own greed that we need to contend with or be confronted with. And this cycle might do that for you. But aside from all that, you could see some, influx in pay, promotion, again, more money coming in, maybe more money going out as well. You could get some kind of different title. You could get some, again, different kind of status or something like that, more followers on social media, whatever, right? Something that may perk up your status in the world. And again, you always got to come back to that integrity. And what are you going to do with that abundance, status, power, money, whatever it is, once it comes your way? And you might also find yourself in a place of being the authority of something. And again, it comes back to, how am I going to use that power? Because having authority over someone, or having an authority, or being the expert of something, there's power in that. And so with great power comes great responsibility. So an opportunity to take a closer look at that could also come up this month for you all. But the 8 cycle shows us where we have the potential to have a positive influence to make the world a better place through our choices and our decisions, and through the abundance that comes in, or potentially could come in under this cycle. And I would also say, be aware of your own personal powerful presence that you have when you connect with others. So if you're a parent, right, you have authority over your children. So how do you use that power? Whether it's in, maybe you're a boss or a manager of some sort, how do you use that power in those dynamics? And if you're using it well and with integrity, then this could be a really beneficial cycle for you all. But if you're not, then you're likely going to be confronted with where some significant changes need to occur before you have to sort of face the consequences of that. Now, it's interesting because I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you got lizard energy. And a lot of times when lizard comes up, it's magical. There's a magical component or element with lizard energy. And so this would say, especially for 5s, where is it in your life that you've become overly stagnant, where you are staying inside that comfort zone so securely that you're not taking risks, that you're not trying new things, that you're not experiencing life with all your senses, that you don't have that greater sense of freedom. And you will likely see with both the 8 and lizard energy that is really pushing you to make some moves, to make some adjustments, to take a risk, to try something new. 8 energy is all about taking risks and moving through the sort of consequences of those risks, both positive and uncomfortable. And so if there's some area of your life that you are overly restrictive, where you are sabotaging that area of your life, or where it's become overly stagnant because of fear of moving to the next level, this cycle is going to really throw a wrench in that potentially and show you where those changes need to occur. And then it's going to be up to you to take that leap of faith. Life path number 6. So you all are going to be working with a vibration of the 9 throughout February. And the 9, when it comes in a cycle, I mean, there's a lot of things it can bring in. And one of those things are like endings, closures, completing things, getting things off your plate, that sort of thing. But one of the things it can bring in is an opportunity to check in with ourselves to see where is it that we are carrying a tremendous amount of judgment, bitterness, cynicism, obsessiveness. Where is it that we are stuck in the loop of victim mentality, where it's never my fault, where I don't need to take responsibility for my actions or how I participate within a situation. And so, it gives us an opportunity to check, to be very real with ourselves and to be very honest with ourselves about where it is that bitterness, that cynical nature, those heavy judgments, where is it that that's weighing us down? Where is it that we're carrying that baggage and we don't need to be? And it might be a situation where we can't have those conversations with the person who inflicted the pain, right? But there's things that we can do, whether it's through therapy or healing work or, just different practices that we can take in order to clear the energy, to get that out of our system. And because, it goes back to that old saying, like if you're carrying a bag full of grudges or hatred or judgments or bitterness, that's not affecting really anyone but you. And so this cycle can be really good at helping you to see clearly where it is that holding on to that heaviness is really having the greatest consequences for you. And so what actions can you start to take in order to heal that, to release that? Doesn't mean that you have to, fully get over or move on from what happened. It just means you're clearing that energy from your center, right? And finding ways that feel right and good for you in order to do that. And that's where therapy can come into hand really, really well. To help you to find those tools. But it can have you also look at, situations like relationships that might have come to pass or where you've had some kind of misunderstanding within connections. And it does help you to see where it is, again, that maybe you're stuck in that victim mentality over a situation that you did have some responsibility for. And this cycle will have you look at that and hopefully take the accountability or the responsibility where it's needed, sort of helping you to break free from any of that in a healthy way so that you can move forward. And where this really comes into play is if you're living too much in the past, so past relationships that might have went south or past experiences that you still ruminate about, this is an opportunity to, sit with that, face it, heal it, move through it, and transmute it so that you can move on without carrying that heavy load. Now, really, the 9 cycle helps to put us in a position of being of service in some way, of service to a purpose greater than just ourselves. So if there's something that you've been struggling with, if there are things that you've been moving through that have felt really difficult, this is the perfect cycle to find ways to shift the focus from self onto others. Like, how can I help others now? How can I be of some support? How can I help to bring solutions to other people's problems? And what you typically will find is that in that process, in that being of service, you actually find the solutions to your own problems. You actually find, that sense of fulfillment and abundance and gratitude that you were missing when you were solely focused on your own issues or needs or desires. So a 9 cycle can put us into that humanitarian energy. And it's not about sacrifice by any means. It's about finding ways to be of service, using your gifts to be of service, using your wisdom, using whatever it is, your resources, to help to uplift, empower, inspire others in some way, and to bring greater resources and solutions to others. And in that process, you will likely see that any of that heaviness that you've been carrying starts to lift. Any of the questions or struggles that you've been moving through, you start to find the answers of how to process that and move through it in a healthy way. So really beautiful cycle this month for building bridges, healing, forgiveness, again, working with others, shifting your focus from your own situation onto the needs of others. And I think you'll see so much come in for you this month and beyond, right, through that journey. And there's also that energy of surrender, right? Recognizing that there's things you cannot control. There's things you cannot change. And those are the things you have to surrender to. You have to surrender it over to the universe, to God, to your higher self, whatever you subscribe to, because you have no control over it. So kind of pining away, worrying about it, getting stuck in that loop about it is not helping you or serving you in any way or serving anyone in any way. And so this is a time for that greater surrender. Put your energy, put your focus into the things that you do have control over, that where you do have the ability to make decisions and take actions that can be beneficial for you and others. But those things or those thoughts that you have no control over, that whether it's worry or fear or whatever, find your way that works for you to surrender that. And that's going to help to lift that burden, to kind of create that effect of healing. I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you got snake energy. So again, right, anytime snake comes through, there's greater healing. There's an opportunity to, build those greater bridges, to release something, to let go of something, right? Like shedding the skin, shedding the layer that's no longer working, shedding that baggage that's weighing you down, that no longer fits, that's expired. And when we move through a 9 cycle, it's very much that work as well. So these two energies coupled together indicates that February will be an opportunity for greater release. Some of these things you might be ready to release, some you may not feel ready to release. But this energy of snake and 9 are going to help you to find the most beneficial ways to shed that skin, to shed those layers without regret, without remorse, without guilt or shame. And, I always use the example of we don't want to hold on to the things that are no longer for us, because by doing so, that would be like the snake trying to hold on to all the layers and skin that it's shed over the years. What would be the purpose? It serves no purpose. It doesn't fit in that skin anymore. It's not for it. It's outgrown it. So it doesn't make any logical sense. But yet we as humans tend to do that. We tend to hold on to those things that are no longer for us and try to make them work, try to make them fit. And if they don't fit, they don't fit. And it's not about trying to fit into it down the road. So it's more about that finding ways to release, to surrender, to let go, and knowing and trusting that what is now meant for us, what does fit, will find its way to us, and we'll be ready to try it on when it arrives. Life path number 7, you all are going to be working with the vibration of the 10-1 throughout February. So this is one of those cycles that can really help you to further develop your own creativity, your own sense of creative style, how you want to share that creativity. It can also help you to find greater self-confidence, help you to trust yourself when it comes to taking risks, making decisions, following through on all of that, and not getting too down on yourself if things don't always turn out the way that you hope or planned for them to, but to be foreseeing the value in taking the risk in the first place and putting yourself out there in the first place. This is one of those cycles that reminds us that it's okay to fall down, right? The important part is that we pick ourselves back up and we try again, or we try something new, or we try something different. But it's whatever it is that we're doing is stemming from our own ingenuity, our own creativity, our own sense of what it is that we want to contribute in the world. Whether that's through, again, our career or our relationships or our presence in the world. And sometimes in order to do any of that, we have to take risks. And we have to face the fear of being judged or things not working out or things not going in our favor or the way that we had wanted them to. And instead of sort of faulting the risk taking, we understand that we wouldn't have gained this greater understanding about ourselves and what we want and what we need to do in order to achieve that had we not taken the risk. The risk and the outcome of that risk helps to show us what's working, what's not working, what works, what doesn't work. and we release what doesn't work and we build upon what does. And that helps us to strengthen not only our confidence within ourselves, but that creativity that we're sharing with the world, or that piece of ourselves that we're sharing with the world. So this month you could find yourself in some kind of a leadership role. This is an opportunity to, again, put yourself in positions or say yes to opportunities that will help you to continue to build upon that self-confidence, that will help you to explore your personal genius, what it is, again, that's innate for you. What are you continually drawn towards that it is that you want to express? And this one cycle can help to get your footing, right? But first you're going to have to start to take the steps that will put you in the position to be able to express yourself in the way you want to express yourself, and to take up that space, right? To recognize the value and the worth of what it is that you have to offer. Again, for yourself, for your relationships, for your career, for whatever it is. The one sort of helps us to celebrate our own personal ingenuity and unique identity. This is that cycle that helps you to see, yes, we have similarities, but we also have differences, and it's those differences that make us unique. And if we don't share that uniqueness, then nobody's going to get a taste of it. And we really came here to share that uniqueness in a lot of ways. So as we move through a one cycle, it helps to enforce that. It helps to remind us that, yeah, we came here to share who we are. It's not going to be understood. We might get pushback. We might get judgment. We might get shame thrown at us. But does it really matter at the end, right? What really matters is that we're sharing that uniqueness. We're sharing that creativity that only we have to offer. And so when we move through a one cycle, it helps us to remember that we're meant to take up space. We're meant to be proud of what we have to offer the world, even if nobody gets it right away. And people only usually judge what they don't understand. So the world not understanding you is not enough reason to not be you and to share all that beauty that you have to share. And again, the one energy is about leadership. So it's about taking the lead in your life and deciding, asking yourself those questions. What do I want? What do I need to do in order to make that happen? What decisions, what actions do I need to take? And then get started. Take the first step. The one energy is not an idle energy. It's an action-oriented energy. So, and you're the lead in this. So where you choose to take action this month could have the greatest impact in the year ahead. So this isn't a month to just sit back and see what happens. This is a month to decide and then take appropriate action to start to make it happen, whatever it is that you want to see. And in that process of getting started, you're going to remind yourself of what you are capable of, and you're going to build that confidence. So at the end of the day, I would say this month is the month to get started. Say yes, take the first step, launch, put yourself out there, whatever you need to do. Even if it's baby steps, this is the month to start. This is the month to stop procrastinating and to take the first step in the direction of the experience or experiences that you want to have this year. Now, I pulled an animal wisdom message for you, and you got bat energy. And this is perfection because it really, in correlation with the one energy, the bat is coming through to remind you that nothing is more powerful, nothing is a greater guidance system than your intuition. That intuition, that inner knowing is never going to lead you astray. So if you keep coming back to something, if something keeps showing up for you, if you keep feeling drawn towards something, this is the month to move in that direction, to trust that feeling. You might not see everything come to fruition. You likely won't see it all come to fruition this month. But the key is to get started. And the number one sort of guidepost or North Star that you're meant to follow this month is your intuition, your inner guidance, that knowing that you're, where you're moving towards and the decisions you make are putting you on the path that is most aligned with what you want to experience. And trusting that intuition and kind of drowning out the external noise, not being easily influenced by the external, but trusting that even though you can't see it, you can't see all the steps, you're trusting that, knowing that you're being guided in the right direction, because really that guidance is coming from you, your higher self, that inner knowing. So this is a month to find a way to trust that And also you're a 7. So, I mean, this is like what you're meant to be doing your entire journey of this lifetime, is finding ways to strengthen that intuition, that guidepost, that North Star, and to trust it. And so this could be a really good month with bat energy coming through to flex that muscle and to strengthen that muscle. Life path number 8, you are going to be working with the vibration of the 2 throughout February. So this is an energy that's saying that, 8s are usually in some kind of a leadership role, whether they're just taking the lead or they find themselves in positions of leadership. But this is a month where I would say you're meant to kind of fall back a little bit. You're meant to sort of be the follower. You're meant to be the observer. You're meant to slow it down a little bit and really just pause and observe. And not feel like you have to take center stage or take that leadership role, but just observe. See what's really happening around you. See what's really transpiring. And it's through that observation that you will recognize where the disconnect is, where things are not working, also where things are working, and where you need to continue to put your energy and your resources towards. But really, this opportunity for being the observer lets you see in sort of an unbiased way, again, what needs your attention? Like, what's not working? Where is the disconnect? And how can you bring that greater connection? So this can be in your relationships, in your belief systems, in your work, in your creativity, however it shows up for you. But there's some area or many areas of your life this month that you're meant to kind of take the back seat. You're not meant to be sort of driving. You're meant to be looking around and seeing what's happening, seeing what other people are doing, seeing, where it is that you're investing your time, and is that working, or is it working against you? Is it sabotaging you in some way? And this can also help you to see where it is that maybe you've been trying to take too much control, where you've been trying to be too much of the lead. And what I mean by that is in March, you're going to be in a 3 cycle. So it's more about collaboration, connecting with others, working towards some kind of common goal. So this month of February is giving you an opportunity to see where is it that you might need to dial it back a little bit, where maybe you have been sort of putting yourself in that position of control, and where really it would work better if it was more collaborative. And then you're also going to see where is it, within your life that you need that greater independence, where it is that you are meant to be in that leadership role. And so this month is giving you a beautiful opportunity to see where it is that you need to put more of your energy when it comes to that your strengths and that leadership and that expertise, and where it is that you need to fall back just a little bit and let someone else take the lead perhaps, and maybe collaborate in a deeper way. This all helps you to, mend some of those bridges that might have been broken, or heal some connections that might be, maybe there was some miscommunication or something went south. This will help you to come back together in connection. Anytime we move through a 2 cycle, it brings in relationships, not just romantic relationships, but the art of relating to another. And so when we're moving through that cycle, it's going to help us to see what's needed. Like, how do we need to show up? How do we need to receive the other person? What do we need to ask? All these things. What kind of conversations do we need to have? It's going to help us to see that. Now, it's up to us what we choose to do with it, but it'll make it very clear. And so you could have an opportunity to, again, heal some of those divides this month and to bring greater balance into your life, whether that's work and home life balance, whether that's greater balance within your relationships, greater balance when it comes to your health and holistic health, whatever. But balance is also key this month. So anywhere that you feel out of balance, there's a strong emphasis on how do we get this back into balance. And a lot of that is going to come to light or become much clearer through observation. Through, again, maybe you eat something and it makes you feel bad. It's through that observation that you see, okay, I ate this, it doesn't make me feel good. Maybe I need to discontinue eating this, or maybe I need to start eating something different to get different results. But it's through that observation that we start to see very clearly what's working, what's not working. Same thing with relationships. If we're in these emotionally charged connections and we're not observing or taking opportunities to observe, then we miss seeing what, how the other person is showing up, but also how we're showing up and what changes might need to be made. So it's such a beautiful cycle if we use it to its fullest potential to see where the gaps are and to understand how we go about sort of mending those gaps and bringing in that greater balance. And there's also this opportunity this month to sort of establish your greater sense of self without needing that outside approval or acknowledgement. And this is really important for 8s because so much of your journey is about being that leader, being that expert, being that business-minded leader. And so when you move through a 2 cycle, it gives you the opportunity to see, you're not going to please everyone. And if you're trying to please everyone, then you're certainly not going to be pleasing yourself and you're not going to be living up to your greatest potential. And it's just going to be holding you back. So as you kind of start to see that the less I try to please everyone, everyone else or meet the expectations of everyone else, the more I stay true to myself and with my gifts and what I have to offer the world. And you find the confidence to share that without the worry of how will people see this? How will I be received? Will I be judged, etc. And you start to kind of overcome that step by step. Now, I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you've got crow energy. And so the first thing that comes to mind here is the intelligence of the crow. Crows are such intelligent birds. And so for you all, there might be something this month that you're really focused on when it comes to that expertise or becoming that authority, over some kind of topic or whatever that expertise is that you're looking to share. And this actually fits really beautifully with the 2 because remember I said you might be kind of taking a back seat a little bit. So you could very well be the student within a situation where you have you're the mentoree and you have a mentor, or you're going back to school or you're taking a course. And that's helping you to learn more about something that maybe you know something about, but you don't have all the pieces. And that'll help you to become that stronger expert, that stronger leader. But this is not the month to be that leader. It's meant to help you to sort of fill your toolkit with even more tools so that when you do step back into that leadership role, you're ready to take the lead. You're ready to be that expert and share that expertise. So if you're thinking about going back to, again, school or take a course or a workshop or, again, get a mentor of some sort, this is such a beautiful month to do that with crow energy coming through and with the 2 energy. I think that is going to bring so much greater understanding and confidence into your life that you're going to feel much more prepared to share that expertise when the time comes. And also with crow energy coming through in correlation with the 2, it's that reminder that we all go through periods where we are the student, where we are learning, where we have that beginner mind. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, especially if, you feel like you're the expert at something or many things. To be in that beginner seat can be really challenging and can kind of challenge the ego a bit. So, this is a month to get comfortable in the uncomfortableness of that because you're going to find yourself in that seat throughout your journey. So you might as well embrace it when the opportunities come in, recognizing that you're not always going to be the beginner in this area, but we all have to start somewhere. Life path number 9, you are going to be working with a vibration of the 12-3 for February. And so this is one of those months that might be asking you to slow down a bit. This is one of those months that say, stop, look, and listen before you leap. So this can be a little bit more quieter of a month. It can be a little bit more of a pause in your life. And so I would say, take this opportunity, instead of getting frustrated with things not moving as quickly as you would like or not seeing the results that you want to see, instead of getting frustrated with how fast life is not moving, I would say take this pause to think about, to contemplate, to learn about things as they really are in your experience in this moment, and find the opportunities to break through the illusion. Because a lot of times things aren't always as they appear. And it's through asking the questions, going deeper, being the researcher, being the investigator, that we discover the truth of a situation, or, how the other person really feels, or, why something is taking so long, or what the missing pieces are. So this is an opportunity to just slow things down and look at the finer details. And this can bring some clarity, but it can also help you to understand kind of the polarities at play, right? So, because we live in a world of dualities and polarities, and those are always at play. So, something might be working when something's not working. Something might be frustrating when something is bringing you bliss and joy. So this is one of those times where I would say put your energy and your focus on what is working, what is flowing, what's moving well, and where you're gaining the most momentum. And maybe that's through rest. Maybe that's through taking a beat and just not pushing yourself too hard, but actually rejuvenating, like doing something that brings you joy and fulfills you and again, fills your cup back up. So if you've been really pushing yourself hard, especially in 2025, and now you're starting a new year, this might be that month where you need to kind of focus more on your holistic health, bringing things back into balance, getting rejuvenated so that you have the energy and the capacity to go full speed ahead once things pick up again. So it's an opportunity to gain a better perspective about where you are at in this moment. Not where you think you should be or not where others feel like you should be, but where you truly are in this moment. Because there's a lot to gain from that, being very present and recognizing like, okay, I haven't reached the goal yet, but that's okay. That's not a failure. That just says there's more that there's more pieces to the puzzle that I haven't acquired yet, that I need to I need to work with what I have right now in this moment. And so that might include coming up with solutions to some of the problems that you have or some of the things that you're facing that you couldn't do if you're rushing through this moment. So I would say bring it back to the present, focus on what you're working with right now, what needs your attention, what is it that needs a solution that you can offer a solution to in this moment, right? Because fear and worry and frustration are not going to get you anywhere. But coming back to the present, seeing what you're actually working with in this moment, that's what you can tackle. That's what you can handle. And so, that's where life is happening. So this 12-3 is saying, first you have to get things right in this moment. And that will create the stage for what's to come in the future. No sense worrying about the future. No sense being frustrated about things not moving as quickly as you would like. What can you focus on right now? And if that's what's working right now, great, because you'll see the progression there. Where you put your energy, things expand. So if you're putting your energy towards frustration or something not working, you're just going to get more of that, more frustration. So put your energy in this moment towards what is working, and you'll see some expansion there. And again, that might mean focusing on your inner world, bringing harmony to your inner world through rest, rejuvenation, doing the things that bring you joy, that sort of thing, so that your outer world can start reflecting that. And, even if it's kind of like, okay, I need to take this time to rest, that is enough, right? We live in this society that pushes the hustle, and there's nothing wrong with the hustle, but we're not meant to hustle 24/7. So, and I wouldn't even say, I don't like the word hustle, but we're not meant to be in action 24/7. It's not natural. And so this might be a month where you need to recognize where you're pushing too hard, where you're forcing things, where you're burning yourself out before your time. And so where is it that you need to rest and focus on the things that are easy, focus on the things that flow. And that's going to, again, bring in that rejuvenation. This is also one of those cycles that really pushes you to evaluate your thoughts, because our thoughts sometimes can create the problems in our lives. Like our thoughts, usually what we say yes to when it comes to our thoughts, drive our actions, and our actions create our experience. So if we're struggling in our experience, it might be our thoughts about that experience that are the driving force. So I would say pay attention to your thoughts. And it might be that a change of view is in order, or a change of perspective might be in order. So, do what you can do to shift that mentality. Again, this is one of those cycles that I would say, let the energy work for you. Observe, reflect, contemplate, but, let the energy work for you. And you'll likely see that things will take care of themselves. the things that don't require your input or your effort. So don't force things. That's the big key here. If you have to force, it's probably not for you right now. It's not ready. And by forcing it, you're just sort of manipulating the situation, and you're likely going to be frustrated with the results. So again, if it's something that's not flowing, put it to the side for now, and it will work itself out. You will find the solution you need. Maybe not this month, but you'll find it. So forcing it's not going to make it happen quicker. Whether you want to hear this or not, this is one of those months where I would say, focus on what you can change and surrender what you can't change at this moment, or what you can't control. Some things are out of our hands for a reason. I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you got bear energy, and this is so aligned because I think of bear, as like leadership type of energy, and recognizing, when it's time to move forward, when it's time to hit the pause button, when it's time to keep persevering, when it's time to give up on something. Those decisions require leadership within our own life to recognize what we can change and recognize what we can't, or what we can't right now, what's out of our hands right now, when to surrender, when to keep moving. So it's, this is a month for that, for figuring out what course of action to take, and then committing to that and following through, even if that means going into hibernation mode for a little bit, resting, taking time for self-care, whatever comes up for you. But this is that opportunity to recognize what you need in this moment and give yourself permission to do exactly that. So very, very powerful energy here. It can be frustrating to have to slow down. But what we usually find is if we ignore the invitation to slow down, the universe usually finds a way to slow us down. So by divine intervention. So I would say take the invitation this month and reconnect to the things that make you happy, bring you joy, fulfill you, and your cup will be overflowing by the time you hit March, and you'll be ready to go on the next adventure that calls. Life Path 11-2, you are going to be working with a vibration of the 14-5 throughout February. And with this energy, it's really saying, like, what are some of the big ideas or inspirations that you're feeling called to really dedicate yourself to, get focused on, get started on, commit to, and see through to completion. So you have the vibration, of course, the 5, which is big ideas and trying something new, going on a big new adventure in life. And then you have the vibration, of course, of the 4, which is saying, let's get serious, let's get focused, let's make this happen, let's bring this dream to life and do whatever it takes in order to make that happen, understanding that it's going to be a slow process and it won't happen overnight, because what you're building, you want to be sustainable, you want to be satisfied with. And so whatever you initiate, whatever you commit to this month, especially when it's around your big ideas or inspirations or what motivates you, just know that you're kind of committing to it for the long haul. And it can be about a relationship. It can be about, changing locations, jobs, communities, whatever. But it's something that's going to require long-term commitment in order to see satisfying results. But this is sort of that big green light that's saying this is the month to get started, to commit to whatever this is, to formulate the plan, to put things in motion in order to achieve this goal or these goals, whatever they may be. And it's also a very paced energy. So, when you have the 4 and the 5 together, the 5 is a very fast-paced energy and the 4 is much slower. So when they come together, it's asking you to take your time, to do things in moderation, but to get started, to take the action, but not be so impulsive or reactionary that the results that you get, again, are sort of haphazard and not organized or systematic in any way. So when you find your way of balancing these two very different energies, then you're able to find ways to channel your creativity in a way that can help bring about, turning something that's an idea into something tangible. So it's a beautiful energy for that. And it just reminds you that you can create whatever is coming your way, like whatever ideas you have, but it's going to take work and effort and perseverance, and it's going to take time and dedication. and organization and a system and all that. So it will be in your benefit to figure all that out this month so that moving forward, you can, again, take it step by step. This is a cycle where, I would say if you have a new idea or a new inspiration, keep it close to your heart. And I'm not saying to be like overly cautious or overly like suspicious of people. I'm just saying, when we have an idea and it's at the point of inception, that's when it's the most fragile. And that's where we have the most doubt and where it can be easily manipulated. And so, you might be easily influenced by the external, right? People who are naysayers, people who think it could never happen, people that don't understand the vision, whatever that may be. And so, while it's still in this like egg form, keep it close to your heart. Share it with the people who you can trust and who will support you and who will be your greatest cheerleader to help you to take those first steps to get your plan and all that in order. But I would say wait to share it with the world until it's stable, until it's well on its way of becoming the thing that you envision it to be. Because again, it's very fragile, it's new. And so you don't want to have it be easily influenced by the external. You want to keep it sort of sacred for now and kind of lay the roots that are necessary to bring it to life. And competitive situations could come up at this time also, especially when it has to do with like money, business. So I would just say, keep a good head on your shoulders, do your due diligence, read the fine print. Remember that you get to choose how you engage. You get to choose how you participate. If someone's coming at you competitively or in an opposition of some sort, you get to choose how you engage with that. So choose wisely. And just remember, this egg that you have that you're trying to build, again, whether it's a family or a relationship or career or whatever, your health of some sort, it's yours. And so treat it as though it's sacred, and that will help you to protect it as you build it and get it ready for the tumultuous and the chaos of the outside world, so to speak. And I would also say for those of you, obviously, who are 11s, who are kind of in this, one of those moments of void or lull, right? Where you don't have a goal, you don't know what you're doing, you feel a little bit lost. And again, that's so normal for 11s to go through periods of that. It actually serves a really strong purpose in your life. But if you're in one of those kind of lulls, honor that. Don't force, obviously, a goal to come to mind, but you should be exploring. You should be trying new things. You should be, just doing the things that will help you to stumble upon the next inspiration. And you might find during this cycle throughout February that you do stumble upon that next inspiration, that next goal. And that's what I mean by, it's a little fragile because it's a new goal. It's a new egg. So be gentle with it. And, take it day by day to see how it works out. Sometimes when we stumble upon something that excites us or inspires us, we want to just scream it from the rooftops because we're so excited about it and so excited to share it with people. But I would just caution you against that just for now. And again, get your ducks in a row until you feel solid in this new adventure, and then share it. I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you got turtle energy, and this is just so aligned, right? Because it's just that reminder to take your time. In taking your time, that's where you're going to see the greatest satisfaction of your work, of your efforts, of your commitment, and it's going to be worth it in the end. The results will be in direct proportion to the effort you put forth. If you rush through something, you're going to be disappointed with what you get back from it because it's going to reflect that rushed action. That sloppiness, so to speak. You don't want to rush right now. This is something where, again, take your time, do it step by step, be methodical, have a plan, have patience, and you will be so happy with what you have built, right? With what you have achieved. And it might not be right away because that 4 is there and the 14-5, it's likely going to take time, maybe significant time. but it will be worth it. The 4 always promises great results with time, and the result is always in direct proportion to the effort. So Turtle coming through is just that reminder. If you take your time, you do things step by step, you don't rush the process, you will have great satisfaction in whatever this is that you are beginning to build this month or building on this month. So yeah, very, very powerful energies. Life Path 22-4. So we're going to be working with the vibration of the 25-7 throughout February. And this can get a little bit hairy of energy, but it's helping us to kind of pull from our strengths in order to overcome some trials and tribulations that may surface this month. And the 25-7 does promise success after difficulty. So keep that in mind as you're moving through some of the obstacles that might crop up again throughout February. It's helping you to see something that you would not have seen without going through that mud or that muck, right? It's helping you to discover something about yourself or the situation that, again, you wouldn't have discovered had you not had to go that path or had to overcome that obstacle, whatever that may be. So I would say there could be some trials and tribulations that pop up around this time. And it's just helping you to, again, pull from those energy reserves, pull from your strengths that you have to discover something that you need to discover about the situation. So see it for what it is. But it's one of those energies that promises success. So, it's not success that's handed over to you, which when is success ever handed over to 22-4s? It's not. We have to build it. But it's one of those energies that you're kind of standing on the precipice of something that can be quite successful. But there's some things you have to learn about this situation or yourself in order to sort of gain the important puzzle pieces in order to move forward, if that makes sense. It's almost like a video game where it's like you have to acquire these specific tools in order to level up. It's kind of that kind of energy. And so it's definitely about that greater discovery because it's 7 energy at its core. So there's things this month that will present, and usually it's going to be through your experiences, that will help you to understand maybe why something had to be the way it was. Maybe it'll give you insight or clues to what to do next or what's needed next in order to achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve. But it's that energy of the reminder that you can have this success, you can have this abundance, this relationship, this whatever, this career, but it's not going to be handed over to you, or you need to work for it. And again, this is something 22-4s are too well acquainted with. Hard work, dedication, perseverance, all those things. So I would say as you're moving through February, as things pop up that you have to kind of figure it out, figure out the solution, which again, we're great at that. So 22-4 and 4 energies are just very solution focused. So, it's kind of pulling from that strength. So as you move through the month, using that skill to find the solution to the problem, whatever it may be, keep present the vision, like what you're working towards. And then you'll recognize probably pretty quickly why you had to move through that struggle or that challenge or that obstacle, why it had to take so long. All those pieces will kind of come together and it will kind of reignite that excitement for fulfilling whatever this is, whatever this goal is. And like I said, moving through a 25-7 cycle, it's kind of that energy of being on the precipice of moving into the final stages of some kind of attainment of goals, right? Like if there's a goal that you want to achieve, moving through a 25-7 cycle can be challenging, but it's giving you the information, the clarity, the confirmation that's needed in order to persevere, in order to hit that final summit, if that makes sense, right? So though it can feel a little bit like things are slowing down, things are getting more difficult, things are frustrating, it's kind of, again, just like that final challenge you have to move through with this before things become a little bit more smooth sailing, if that makes sense. So I would say try to keep a positive outlook. Don't let the frustration take over, because that's our Achilles heel. When we get stuck in frustration, we don't move. And so you want to make sure that you're focusing on what is working, not what isn't. Don't put your energy in the frustration, because then you're just going to get more frustration. Put your energy in what is working, and you'll see momentum there. And that will, lift your spirits and bring back that positivity that's going to be needed in order to find the solution for some of the obstacles that might surface around this time. And I would say use that mental energy positively and constructively, and don't let the self-doubt, the naysayers, the frustration win, so to speak. This is also one of those cycles where I would say be careful about being too reactive, too hasty, too impulsive, because that can lead to more frustration, but it can also lead to like conflicts. So, take your time when it comes to making decisions. Now, there could be some things that come up this month, though, that need immediate action or need immediate decisions to be made. But, use your good sense of judgment, follow your intuition, follow the inner guidance, follow the information that you have presented to you, that you know about the situation, in order to make a well-informed decision. And I think you'll be happy with the results. If you're making those quick decisions out of like impulsiveness or reactivity, that can create some maybe less desirable outcomes. I would say when it comes to your health this month, pay attention to anything that comes up that's asking for your attention. Give it that attention, get it checked out just to make sure that it's nothing that needs further attention. You don't want to kind of ignore anything that kind of crops up around this time, especially around health. And I'm talking about like holistic health, right? Where things feel out of balance, where something just feels off. Get it checked out, get the support that you need around that. And it'll help you to find the solution that's necessary or needed at that time. When it comes to signing documents or any kind of agreements, take your time. Obviously, I would say get a second opinion, get a legal expert to take a look, make sure everything looks good and appropriate, and that you're obviously taken into consideration when it comes to the outcome of that agreement. So yeah, just I don't want to say like proceed with caution this month, but just take your time and do your due diligence. Don't rush through anything. And just face whatever challenge crops up for you this month head on. And you're going to find the solution that's needed. And you're actually probably going to be glad that you had to move through whatever it is, because it's going to show you something about yourself or the other person or the situation that you just wouldn't have had the ability to see had you not moved through that experience. I pulled an animal wisdom message for us, and we got raccoon energy. And it's just so funny to me because it's such opposite energy from the 25/7. The 25/7 is just one that's like, okay, it's going to, we got to like buckle up because it's going to be a bumpy ride. And then here comes raccoon energy, like be curious, have fun, play. So it's just that reminder that, don't take things too serious. I think that there will be a serious layer that we just need to address. But, don't let it overwhelm you. Don't become so sort of immersed in the challenge or whatever it is that you have to kind of move through and overcome that you lose sight of your joy, what brings you happiness, your why. Why am I doing this in the first place? Being curious, using your imagination, like all those pieces. Because humans are very talented. We can multitask, and we can also live within polarities and duality, which is what we do every single day. So we can, incorporate the struggles with the joy and the happiness, and we can find time for both, to address both. So with raccoon coming through, it just brings that levity. It's just saying, you're going to get through whatever you need to get through this month, and you're going to, learn what you need to learn, and you're going to take that wisdom and you're going to do with it what you need to do with it. But don't forget to, don't neglect your need for happiness and joy and fulfillment and celebration and all those other pieces, and rest and, time off and unplugging and doing the things again that just make you feel free and alive and happy and able to experience this exciting life while you're here. So yeah, I think it's funny that raccoon came through, but I think it's very much needed. So yeah. So I hope it's a great one. Take care, 22s. Life Path 33.6, you all are going to be working with the vibration of the 36.9 throughout February. And so this is one of those energies where it kind of brings up a focus on what it is that you've been carrying, like what it is you've been working hard towards, what it is that you have felt like it has been a bit of a struggle to see the results of. And this energy, this cycle, is that push to keep going, that you're almost there. But it's also that push to remind you that you don't have to do it alone. Like, you can delegate, you can ask for support, you can figure out, what is yours to carry, what's not yours to carry. And if it's not yours to carry, whether it's an emotional burden that you've taken on from someone else that's not yours, then this is a great month to figure out how to set that burden down, because it's just weighing you down. It goes back to that idea that, we are not meant to manage the emotions of other people. We are not meant to take on the burden of someone else's lesson, someone else's journey. They have to move through that. We cannot do it for them. And if you're taking on, again, sort of the emotional burdens of trying to manage the emotions of your friends or your children or your partner or whatever, or your family, it's just going to burn you out. So you have to recognize what is yours. What is your emotional baggage? What is your, what is it that you have to work through that belongs to you? Or what is it that you have to carry that belongs to you? Because that's your work. That's your journey. That's your lesson to learn in this lifetime. And by taking on other people's, you're taking away from the opportunity to learn the lessons that you signed up to learn in this lifetime. So this is one of those cycles that it can feel like there's more burdens being put on you this month. There's more people who need your attention or who are giving you their troubles to deal with, to take on. And I would say that I would use this opportunity to recognize, or to flex that muscle of saying no, it doesn't mean that you can't support them in whatever way presents, but you're not meant to do the work for the other person. That is actually really disempowering to that person. So, we can't walk the path for someone. And so if we're trying to do that, we're trying to make their journey more palatable, we're just going to create more stress for ourselves and more burden for ourselves that we can't do anything with. So I would say use this month as a checkpoint and just be aware of where is it that you're absorbing that baggage, right? When it comes to your clients, again, your family, your friends, your partner, whatever. Where is it that you're carrying that, and how is it that you can set it down? And you can come back to it and see if you want to pick it back up down the road. And chances are you won't want to, because your own journey there's enough going on in your own journey for you to pay attention to. So again, pay attention to where it is that others are just offloading onto you, or where others are expecting you to manage their emotions. And what I mean by that is asking you to change what you need or who you are in order to make them comfortable, make them manage their emotions, right? Your job is to make sure that you are good, that your cup is full, that you are able to give because of a full cup, not because of just taking on the burdens of others. So this is a really good checkpoint kind of month to recognize where you're doing that. And when you recognize where you're doing that, then you can start the process of stop doing that. And you can start to offload and give it back to the other person to carry, because it's theirs to carry. They have to figure it out just as you do with yours. And then it opens you up to be able to come back to yourself and recognize what is yours to carry. What is it that you have to move through and work through? And when it comes to, again, like maybe things with work have picked up, maybe things, well, let's just stick there, right? So maybe things with work have picked up and you have more time and dedication that you have to put towards work. So then at home, ask for support. Ask for the help that you need so that you don't feel like you're having to do it all, because you're not meant to do it all. That's teetering on the line of martyrdom. And again, that serves nobody. So this is a great month to figure out, what do I need to delegate? What do I need to ask for assistance with? What do I need, where are my limitations? How can I call on the people who have strengths who can help me? And it might mean, seeking therapy, reaching out to some kind of assistant, hiring an assistant, whatever comes up for you. But this is the month to recognize where it is that you can't keep going at this pace or carrying this load or whatever it is, and find ways to sort of offload, right? While still maintaining what you need to be responsible for. But I think what you'll find is that it opens you up, it frees you up, it makes you feel lighter. So moving forward, you're really able to focus on the things that are really important for you as a 33-6 to pay attention to and to focus on. And I will say that the way that people often work is people are good at offloading, right? Giving their problems over to someone else to manage for them. And when we refuse to take that on, or we sort of give it back to the other person to manage themselves, that can be off-putting for them. They might not like that. And so just be prepared for people to sort of retaliate against that or to oppose that in some way. So one thing I will say about this cycle is separations, endings, apparent losses can occur during this time, but in this vibration, they're necessary to free you up for the new cycle that you're about to enter. So in other words, again, it's about not taking that baggage into the next chapter. And this is the time when you have to recognize, what are you carrying that's not yours to carry? And what do you need to give back to the person who is supposed to be carrying it? And just know that you might ruffle some feathers. You might upset some people. And if people fall away, if relationships fall apart because you are standing up for yourself, you're advocating for yourself, you are, making sure that your cup is full so that you can show up of service down the road, then those are really people who are not equipped at this time to be a part of your life. They might show up or resurface down the road when they are equipped, but right now, what they're equipped at is overburdening you with their mess. And if people fall away who are continuously doing that and who don't respect your standards or your needs, then this cycle will remove them in order for you to move into the next chapter much lighter, right? And so just know that separations, endings, losses at this time, if they occur, they are meant to occur. They are serving a purpose. So don't try to force people to stay. And what I mean by that is, don't, as a 33-6, if people start falling away because you are standing up for yourself and offloading what isn't yours, but what is theirs to be responsible for, don't force that connection. Don't force that person to stay. They have their own work to do. And when they do that work, you will likely see that they will show up much differently. But in this situation, forcing someone to stay means that you're sacrificing yourself in some way. And that is not the lesson this cycle wants to teach you. So any losses occurring now involve only those things that you do not need in your life right now. So I would say release with love and gratitude and an open door. So if the individuals resurface down the road after doing their own work, then a conversation can be had. So I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you got sheep energy. And so this is so aligned because, with sheep, I think about like devotion and loyalty and kind of going with the herd, right? And so the energy of the 36-9, though, is asking you to kind of break free from the herd, to look at what you're loyal to or where your loyalties lie, to look to see where you have been devoted, but almost to the extreme of like overgiving or taking on more than you can handle, taking on other people's baggage, taking on or trying to manage other people's emotions. And with sheep coming through, it's that reminder that we can have that interdependency when we are coming from a healthy place of independence. And that independence means that we are taking on what is ours to take on. We're responsible for it. We are taking accountability for it. We are managing our emotions. We are doing what we need to do in order to show up to the group in a healthy way. And every individual needs to be doing that in order to have a healthy collective. But when we're all showing up having not done that work, then what we get in that group is chaos. So with sheep coming through, the question is, are you showing up to chaos? Are you trying to manage other people's chaos? And if so, why are you loyal to that? Like, why are you devoted to that? When your loyalty and devotion first has to start with self. And so this is such a beautiful cycle for you 33s to recognize where you're showing up to another person or other people or work or whatever. And you're sacrificing yourself for the needs of that person or that entity or whatever. And there's some work that needs to be done there. And part of that is releasing what's not yours and finding a way to advocate for yourself, stand up for yourself, etc. And be loyal to yourself and your needs. And by doing so, you'll be able to show up to that herd, right, the group, in a much more healthy, cohesive way that's not chaotic. So it's a beautiful cycle to move through. And it's needed, especially for 33/6s, so that you can recognize even more so when you're taking on what's not yours, because that's just going to burn you out and make you resentful of doing the work that you came here to do, right? Because you're meant to do that with gratitude and with graciousness. And you can't do that if your cup is empty because you're constantly taking on everybody else's emotions and blah, blah, blah. So beautiful energy here. I think it will be a powerful month for you all, but when is it not? All right, take care, 33s. Bye for now. Life Path 44-8. So you are going to be working with the vibration of the 47-11-2. This is also a master number. So this is going to probably demand a little bit additional effort this month. You may see some things crop up that really require your attention, your focus, your energy, and it might require that extra effort in order to see the results. You might see this month that you suddenly have like a lot of choices, and it's going to be really important for you to, recognize what is important to you. What do you value and why? What truly has value for you? And what do you want to do with that? Like, how do you want to pursue that? And how do you start to sort of release or let go of the things that no longer have value for you? And that can be a journey and a process within itself. But this month is helping you to really recognize what's important to you and what do you want to pursue. And once you make that decision, once you decide, once you understand what's no longer important for you, what is important for you, then you're meant to take the risk and go for it, right? Take the necessary steps in that direction of what does have value for you currently and start to move away from what doesn't. And again, that can be challenging within itself and can take time. So don't rush the process, but you have the opportunity this month to gain that greater understanding so that whatever it is that you're moving towards or working towards or investing your time and energy into feels aligned for you. Like the universe doesn't just hand us alignment. We have to recognize what is currently aligned with us, what feels good, what feels right, what feels it has value. And we have to recognize what no longer feels that way. And then we have to take the appropriate action to start to bring in more of what has that value. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't just happen for us. It happens through that, having the choices presented perhaps, and then deciding. And once we make that decision, then taking the action, taking the risk and going for it. So it requires us, like we're a key player in this. Alignment doesn't happen without you. And because it's an 11, well, 4711 energy, and again, that master number is present, the 11. It's that energy that, again, through that extra effort, promises greater dividends. So this is not a time to kind of sit back and just think about the things that you want or think about what would make you happy. I mean, contemplation is great, yes, but this is one of those calls to action. So it's one of those times where you don't want to scatter your energy. You want to be focused. You want to recognize, again, what has value? What do I want? What direction do I want to move towards? And then start to move in that direction. Start to take action. And that's how, by sort of developing very realistic methods for achieving your goals now. And I'm not saying you're going to achieve everything this month, obviously, but this is that starting point. This is that kick in the butt. It's like, yeah, okay, what do you want? And what do you need to do realistically in order to achieve that? And how long might it take? And where do you have to have patience? Where is it that you have limitations? And where do you need to call in others to assist? These are all the things that this month is asking you to really get serious about and to look at. Where is it that you're investing time and energy and resources into something that you don't even want, but you just feel obligated or whatever? This is the month that's going to have you really take a look at that and make some very important decisions. And not only make those decisions, but start to take the appropriate action in that direction. So this is not a month for just hemming and hawing or being like, oh, I wish this would happen, because the universe is not going to just hand deliver it. It's one of those things where it will maybe deliver the inspiration or the idea, but it's up to you to bring that to life, right? And this is the starting point for that. And it's happening at a really beautiful time because, and we have a lot happening in astrology, which I will talk about in the month ahead, numerology of February. But there's a lot happening in astrology that is about bringing dreams to life, bringing things to reality, turning inspirations into something tangible. And for you all, this is like a starting point for that. This is like compounded with the astrology. And you're meant to no longer sort of just play in the realm of imagination. This is the time to find your legs when it comes to, okay, now what do I need to do to make this reality? What do I need to do to accomplish this? Understanding that it might take weeks or months or years, but this is like that point of, I don't even want to say inception. This is the point of where the magic really starts to happen, where you're getting the legs and you're taking the action. Even if it's like the first step, that's going to be that's going to be an important piece of this. Now, you could also see this month a lot of distractions come up. So a lot of temptations, a lot of like get rich quick or things that seem a little bit too good to be true. And so again, I would say this is the month to weigh your options, select what feels right, follow your intuition, follow that inner guidance, trust yourself and take it step by step. Don't try to rush through anything. Don't be easily persuaded that something is for you if it doesn't feel like it's for you. And I would say also maintain a healthy balance between the emotional side of things and the practical factors, and then make your plans accordingly. So follow your intuition, but also utilize the information that's being presented to you in order to make those decisions, those informed decisions about how to move forward. And you will likely see people coming in with bringing options, but you get to decide what options you say yes to. And it comes back to what has value for you and your work in the world and how you're contributing and how you want to contribute. So it's all things to kind of factor in. This is also a month that you could see that the sort of channel to the unseen is very, very open. So you might see a lot of mystical experiences or psychic experiences and intuitive experiences. And I would say use those experiences. Rely on your intuition as that internal guidance, your internal GPS. It's going to never lead you astray. It's going to be it's always going to hit the mark. Might not be on your timeline, but it's always going to hit the mark if you continue to follow it. So I would say, again, make your choices very wisely during this cycle And, pay attention to the value of the advice of your soul, of your intuition, because it's going to, it's going to be your greatest North Star during this cycle. And I would say anytime, and not to kind of put the pressure on, but the choices or the decisions that you make this month are really kind of setting the stage for your future, for what you are choosing to build, what experiences you are choosing to have. So choose wisely. And don't be too hasty within those decisions. But this is the time to make the decisions, to take the action, and to start moving in the direction that feels aligned for you. Remembering that the universe does not deliver alignment. We have to create that alignment. We have to say yes to those things that feel aligned. And a lot of times we don't even know what those are until we explore and try new things, etc. I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all. And of course you got owl energy. And so it just comes back to wisdom. And 44/8, you all are the wisdom keepers. And so many of the experiences that you have in this lifetime are opening you up to that greater wisdom that you are meant to find ways to share in some way. And with owl energy coming through, it's again cutting through the illusions, cutting through the BS. So this month, when things come in and they just look too good to be true, or someone's trying to maybe manipulate the situation or take control of the situation, you're going to be able to see right through it. But you have to trust that inner guidance. With owl energy coming through, it's the ability to see through the darkness. So you have to be able to see through how things appear to be, to see what they truly are meant to be. And so if you're moving through a really difficult period, you have to see through that darkness. You have to be able to see to the other side to understand why you have to move through it and what it's meant to teach you and the wisdom that you can gain from that experience. And that really is such a big part of the journey for the 44/8. So it's all about acquiring the wisdom, and wisdom doesn't come easy. So with owl coming through, don't get caught up in the BS. Don't get caught up in the illusion. And there's so many illusions in this world. Don't put your energy where it doesn't need to be. And the more that you do that, the more that you trust yourself and your gut feeling and your intuition or whatever is coming to you, and you couple that with the information that's being presented to you, you're going to be able to make the most informed decisions and move in the direction of alignment. So really, really powerful 44/8s this month. It's going to require you, though. It's going to require effort. It's going to require work. And it's going to require you trusting yourself and knowing that whatever you're moving through, you can handle, you can figure it out. And once you get to the other side of it, you're going to have a tremendous amount of wisdom to share with others who might have to move through that same or similar experience in the future. So beautiful energy here, 44s. I hope it's a great one. Take care. Bye for now.